Morning. You're crooked this morning. I don't know what it is. I'm contemplating my morning because I'm working my banquet gig tonight. It will be the first time probably I've been out of my house this week to go into my gig tonight. But trust me, the grass has not grown under my feet other than what's you just saw from my short form content. The kid and I cut grass yesterday in the front, starting to weed out things in the garden. The mums are starting to come up, um, trying to get everything finished for the end of the season. We all have seasons in our life. We also have seasons that we do certain things and projects on our house. And right now, my house looks like it's about to crumble and fall. There's so many different little projects that are going on, but it's a season, it's a plan, it's a project, it's what you can work on with what you have to work with it. We're all doing the best we can with what we have to work with. So yesterday, the kid and I, we cut down limbs because Amron was out assessing the trees that are on the neighbor's line that is now my responsibility, his responsibility. Amron said they weren't going to touch that unless the line was down. So I got with the kid next door and I'm like, what are we going to do? How do you want to do this? I don't have a ladder and I have no business climbing on a ladder to cut a limb off of a line. So that's where we're at with that. So the kid and I yesterday were cutting all the lower branches. So I have more things that I will burn when the weather gets cooler. My garden, it is gardening so much that the watermelon and the cantaloupe have completely taken over. My sweet potato vines have taken over. The tomatoes are still so green with all the heat and all the rain, and I think they're just overcrowded. They're not turning red as fast as they originally were, and you'll hear Shug. She's at the front door because somebody's walking their dog. Come here, Nell. Nellie. Come here, Nell. Everybody's been out. Everybody's been back in this morning. Come here, Nell. I've already been out in front assessing what else needs to be done out there around my front tree where all my mums are starting to come up. I need to get in there and weed that out real good. Finally got my part to the weed eater. Do you know how that makes me so happy? I could get on a tractor and I would be very happy cutting grass and having a bucket truck. If someone wanted to show me how to operate it, of course, I'd be really happy working the land like that. But then I'll work in the backyard tomorrow. I'm not going to do it today. When you work in the yard, this is me. When you work in one part of the yard, your body has to take a rest. You can't do 2 days in a row, and at least I can't anymore, especially with the heat. I got out there thinking I'd be fine. It was actually cooler than it has been here in St. Louis, Missouri. Nope. No, ma'am. No, sir. I got out there, worked about an hour and a half, and I thought I was going to have a heat stroke. Came inside, got a cool rag, and laid on my kitchen floor for 40 minutes. That was the coolest place in the house, on the kitchen floor, till I could regulate my body heat. And I've been drinking water, been keeping myself hydrated. Didn't matter. It was too much, too hot, and I was trying to accomplish a lot in a short amount of time. So after that, on and off throughout the day, I did what I could till finally I said to the kid, get out there, you do it, you finish it, because I can't. And also because I know once I start working on that backyard, I don't want anybody in my way. I got a plan. I see it. I know how it needs to be landscaped out. And I'm so tempted to pull out those tomato plants. I'm going to let you go. I got her right here by her collar. I'm going to let you go, but don't you bark or I'll put your shock collar on you, pretty girl. Oh, mama, pretty girl. Go. No barkings. But I know once I get out in that backyard, stay out of my way. And let me do what I need to do. And then I get angry that I'm having to do it by myself. So what is that? What is that? Looking over stats, and analytics. I find it humorous. When I do a tour of the house or I'm walking through the house, whoever is viewing everything, y'all love when I walk through my house. You love that movement. And I know your nosy little eyes are like, ooh, what you got? What's over there? How clean is her house? Why is that wall looking like that? What color is that? I know how that works. It's the movement, it's the action, and people like when they're seeing movement. So that's a plus for me. I wish my house was bigger. I wish I could like give you this grand tour of this beautiful house. And I'm gonna digress just a minute and then I'm gonna come back to something because that's how I roll. I where my sister lives in Platteville, Wisconsin. Small town. You've heard me talk about it before. I am on their real estate page on my Facebook feed because every platform is different. And TikTok, it's for you. Um, your FYP, Instagram, so on and so forth. Anyway, I am on the real estate side of Platteville on my Facebook feed. That's what I'm trying to spit out. There's a house that sits, if you're familiar with Platteville, college town, agriculture, mining, has a big M on the side of a mountain. Now, I don't know the outskirts of what that is really called over there, although I do know it's like an hour and a half, maybe to Madison, if you're looking at a map and trying to get logistics. Speaking of, this is the point I'm getting to. I wish I had a bigger house that I could like walk you through. And I wish I had this grand content creating kitchen because last night I made buffalo chicken pasta that you would have just fell over. It was phenomenal, phenomenal. And I'll do that again. And the next time I do it, I'll bring you along. But this house that sits on the other side of the M, I got on that feed and that part of on my Facebook page, and I thought that would be a perfect house. Sits up on a mountain because I'm all about the mountains. Although there's not a lot of water in Platteville or around that area. But anyway, I'm like, I wish. And I don't like to say I wish, and I don't like to say I need. But as I am doing all this content creating and as I am putting all this stuff together, trying to reformulate a business, I'm looking at this house that is nothing but all windows. And then a lot of you would be like, oh my God, that house is too big. Oh my God, how are you going to clean those windows? Oh my God. Because people only want to look at the negative side. They don't want to look at the positive side of how an environment and a surrounding is better for your mental well being. But anyway, I'm watching this realtor walk through this house on the other side of the mountain, the other side of the M. And I thought, oh my God, what a house. What a perfect house that if you're a content creator, you have a small business, you're running a business, and you're coming home and you're having the dual life because, I'm all about the multi stream income. That would be ideal. It was just beautiful. It wasn't a mid century kind of house because that ain't my thing. That ain't my vibe. It was a ranch, but it was one of those houses that probably would have been built, let me get a time frame, in the 80s, early 80s. The house was comparable, if you're familiar here in St. Louis, Missouri, if you're familiar with Lake St. Louis, where all the houses they're not cookie cutter, but there's a formula around a lake. It was a true lake house on the other side of the mountain in Platteville, Wisconsin. So as I'm walking through my house and trying to do all these things, I'm imagining what this next house is going to look like. So, am I going to move to Wisconsin? No, I'm not moving to Wisconsin. Although, I always thought if I would come into like a lot of money, I would have a summer home there. So I could be close to my sister at different times throughout the year. But the whole idea when you're content creating, you're allowing people to come into your life. You're allowing people to see who you are and why you do things the way you do. You know, authentic, real. There's nothing staged. This is it. It's a shoebox, 974 square feet. So back to what do yous all like in my videos and who is staying and who is watching and who is judging and who is criticizing. You know, when I'm walking through the house, you love it. When I'm cooking, you love it. When I'm talking about sewing or my crafts or trying to put my business back together, you just don't like that. I lose followers, I lose subscribers. You love when I life coach. You absolutely love when I am talking about relationships and finances and the mechanics of the brain and your heart and your head connection. Y'all love that. So that makes me think, what are you missing in your life that you don't know how to ask the proper question? And there's no such thing as a wrong question or no such thing as uh, there's no such thing as an answer that can't be given to the question that you were asking. So as I'm sitting here in my room and I'm going to get ready to do some sewing, I want to get it's keeping my mind occupied till I actually go back to work, which there might be something in the works this week. I don't know at this point. I can't tell you. I'm taking you along on this ridiculous. I love that word ridiculous. This ridiculous point in life that should have never even occurred. But anyway, again, I digress because I do that really, really well. But I want to ask you, are you close? You got your coffee? Get your coffee. My favorite mug, says Mom. Get your coffee. And an AI on YouTube says I need a better hook. I don't want a hook. If you don't want to like follow along, don't follow along. If you don't want to see what I'm all about, find somebody else. I'm okay with that. But I want to talk about the unconditional acts. What is the unconditional that you are wanting for your partner, for your person, husband, wife, girlfriend, boyfriend, whatever that other person is in your life? What is the unconditional part you want for them? I, I'm single, been single a few years, was with somebody for 6 years, was single for about 2.5, 3 years prior to that. And then I was with somebody for 8 years. The 8 year we all know was an abusive, narcissistic relationship. And I'll try not to segue too much into that today because I want to mostly focus on that 6 year because these are things that I have been really, really thinking on. I'm not a materialistic kind of person. I'm just not. You can see by the way that I live, I like clean. I would love to have a very well curated home. This is probably the first time in my life where I have not had the real funds to take care of everything that I really need to take care of. But the unconditional part of you with your person, your partner. I'm not a materialistic person. I don't need the best, the latest, the greatest. You will hear me say often, almost too much, I need. We all need. There's a big difference in what you need and what you want. Need is usually something that is a necessity for your life in order for you to function properly. I need. I don't care about how much money you make. I don't care. And that comes from my dad was all about money. Money ruled his life. I don't care about money. If I have money, that's wonderful. I can stretch it. If I don't have money, I can stretch 4 cents because that's where I'm at right now. I'm stretching 4 cents. I don't care about your title. I don't care what you do for a living. I don't care really what your job description is. Um, it doesn't matter to me. I'm not impressed by titles. I'm not impressed by the dollar amount that you make. I don't really care what kind of car you drive. That's pretty superficial. Although with my person, I used to make fun of his vehicle, which got us from, some point A to point Z. He loved his vehicle. And I'd say it's an old man vehicle. He loved it. That's all I cared about. He loved it. Would I have liked to have seen him in something else? I wanted him to be happy with what he had. But when you have somebody who has only experienced bare minimum in their life, you accept what you have and you love it because it's yours. I don't think most people understand when they upgrade to something how that elevates who they are. But I don't care what kind of vehicle you drive. I don't. Status, I don't need to be like front and center and in front of everybody, like, hey, look at me. I don't like ego. I don't like anybody who boast. I don't like anybody who's flashy. I don't like type A. I just stop and think. Point type A personalities. That type A personality is all over the board. And I know I talk a lot, and when my brain is overriding my mouth, you'll hear me stutter. And when you hear me slow down, it's because I'm trying to match everything. And when I was in the height of like the restaurant world, when I was flitting around and talking and doing about 90,000 things at one time with no help, um, it looked like I was a type A personality when I'm not. I think I'm a type C personality. You can look that up if you want. There's type A, there's type B, and then there's, of course, type C. So, whomever I am surrounding myself with in that unconditional, my nervous system can only take so much. And if you're a type A all the time, get away from me. Just get away. I don't need it. You're doing nothing for me mentally, emotionally. You're pretty flashy. That's not what I'm about. Type B is more reserved, um, very calm, very methodical. Type B is almost laid back, but Type C is I am so laid back, and I don't give a crap about what you think or what you're doing. I'm kind of marching to my own band. You can become a part of it, or you can just be over there. But you don't get to criticize and you don't get to judge because type C individuals, they love their alone time, they love their quiet time, but they also know how to be extremely social in the right environment. And then in that right environment, after they get their fill of being social, they'll be like, I'm done. I need to go home. I need to be quiet. I need to go back to my cocoon. Where type B personalities, they're just pretty leveled out. So, in that unconditional term within yourself and your partner, what personality type are you? And in that unconditional with your person, what are you needing for them in their life? If you know what your bare minimum is, and you know what you are trying to be successful with in your life, what are you expecting from your person, partner, wife, boyfriend, girlfriend? What are you expecting from them because of your personality? I'm going to talk again about my person. I wanted him to be happy. I wanted him to be healthy. I wanted him to see, not that it was my place, to show what's on the other side of something, but I wanted him to be completely happy with who he was in his life, with what he was doing, not feeling like he needed to jump through hoops in order to give me what I need. I can function pretty much on my own. Don't do it real well all the time, but there are moments in my life where I have succeeded every level that I have tried to obtain. You want your significant other, your person, your partner, whatever you call them, boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, wife, you want them to do well in life, and you want them to understand the accolades that come from that type of life. Um, Again, not materialistic, don't need the greatest, the latest. But when you're with somebody, are you matching that energy? And is their bare minimum going against your personality type? Are you with somebody who has to have the greatest, the latest, the best of everything, and you feel like you just cannot match that level, match that energy, where you've made that person feel like they have to work themselves, you know, like a dog trying to provide or give to you, you know? Are you a gift giver? And if you are a gift giver, what is the basis behind the gift? Is it your gift giving to make yourself feel better? Or are you gift giving because you know the person that you're giving something to, they really wanted it, they really needed it? Just thinking all about these unconditional acts, that when you're with somebody who is the right person, there's a match of energy. This little endeavor in business that I think I have, that I'm trying to rebuild and put back together. There probably wasn't one thing that if I said I needed, that I did not receive from my person. Generous to a fault. I would say, okay, this is my thing. This is what I'm building. What are you doing? What are you building? What are we creating together that is going to take us to this other platform? As I was trying to put this business together, trying to figure out, how I was going to market, and all of my studying and all of my education. And while I was still, lending my hand in food and beverage, it's like being in mafia. You really don't get out. You don't. I mean, once you know something like second skin, there are so many variants to it, and it's always something nice to fall back on. And as we get older, it's smart to recognize when the role is finished and you need to go on to something else. And as I was putting this business together, doing all of this content creating, and as we were traveling, and I was doing a craft show here and there, a vendor show here and there, that seemed to be, because of the economy and the market and things being saturated, it wasn't the way to go. But I continued to try to put my effort in this. And I would say to him, "No, what are you going to do? What do you want to do? What hobby can you come up against? What is it that's going to bring you that spark of joy? Because you just can't work. You just can't work like a dog, collect an income, and then when you're home, you're useless. You lay on the couch. You're numb. Your brain is gone because of the bullshit that you've had to put up with during the week." I like being social. He didn't like being social. Although we both would say, I hate people. I like people, but I like people in the correct environment. On his end, because I think what he did in any military training, he really did not like people. So you've got someone who is antisocial, and then you have somebody who is so social in the right circumstances. You do this, you clash constantly, you clash. So as I was thinking, okay, I'm going to put this business together. You do whatever it is you think you need to do, but at some point it's no longer going to work because your body's going to give out. Your brain is just going to be mush from dealing with all of the entities that you were dealing with in the environment in which you were having to work, I always thought, goes back to that house over in Platteville. Not that I would buy it, not that I would say, hey, let's move to Wisconsin. But I always thought, we're in a different house. I'm able to teach. I'm able to create. I'm able to do my content creating. We are in a peaceful environment, giving him the option to find a little bit joy in a new surrounding. Because once you're in a new surrounding, in a new environment, all of a sudden you come to life. All of a sudden you have the spark of, oh my God, this is a new life. I don't have to live that old life anymore. I don't have to do what I've always done. That unconditional is wanting to see your person, your partner, your boyfriend, your girlfriend living their best life, knowing there's something so much more on the other side of what they have remained stuck in. So I'm going to ask you, what is it you want to see for your person, partner, boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, wife? What is it in their circumstances? And I don't like to use the word potential, because potential says you're not enough. What you're doing isn't good enough. So I won't use the word potential. But when you know somebody has so much more skill and talent, and they have forgotten how to use it to make themselves be better individuals, to be happier, to want to participate in life. And then you take that joy and you take that spark and you take those moments of watching somebody come to life, and you can sit back and, without saying, I knew it, I told you so, you just needed to give yourself the opportunity to explore something on the other side of what you know. And that person who's the type A or the type B or the type C, you really start to see that person come to life with who they are. What was the other thing I'm going to talk? I've got so many things in my brain this morning. Um, oh, I know what it is. How many times have you said to somebody, there's nothing you have I want? There's nothing you have I need. Now, usually when you say that, there's nothing you have I need, it's because you can provide those things for yourself. You've become so self sufficient, no matter what somebody is offering you, if they are not bringing value, and I just noticed I'm talking with my hands, if they are not bringing any value into your life, it will not matter what you need or what they are willing to offer if there is no value behind who they are and what they are needing to participate in your own life. And you can want somebody, you can want somebody, you can be envious of what somebody else has, but there's such a great difference in saying, I don't want what you have, and I don't need what you have. So look at your person that you're involved with. Look at the situation, look at the relationship. What are you needing from them? What are you gaining? What is the value in having that person in your life? Is it filling your cup up? Is it making your heart so elated because you need that closeness? You need that bond? Or what is it about the person that you want? Do you like them? Do they bring you joy? Do they make you happy? Is it unconditional because it doesn't matter what the money is, what the material is, what the job title is? None of the superficial things are going to matter when you want somebody. And when you want somebody, you're actually choosing them. You are making that conscious choice that that is what you want and who you want in your life. And when you were saying, I need you in my life, You're also saying there is something in your life that's lacking. And you have to stop and think the unconditional part of what is it you really need. The only thing we really need in this life is to be happy, to be healthy, to be able to breathe air, to have peace of mind, to have food, substance. What is it you're needing? And can you separate your need from your want? What is the unconditional part that you are expecting from your partner? And what is the unconditional part that you know who you are that is going to match who you're with? So that's a little bit of my life coaching this morning. I hope it made sense because it's really been on my mind because I can stop and think in my own personal life. I have said numerous times there is nothing you have I need. And the person that I was saying it to, they were like in shock. What do you mean? What do you mean you don't need me? Because they looked at it as an internal reflection to who they were. Wanting somebody and needing something that they have. We're not supposed to be one of those type humans that take things from people with no reciprocity. I love that word, reciprocity. Can't even say it now, reciprocity. The give and take. If I am giving you this, the reciprocal part of what are you matching with it? Not being materialistic. What is it that you were wanting to see from your partner? Knowing the better part of who they are is going to come out because of this unconditional wanting them to feel their own growth, wanting them to see how happy life can be. But I'm Kitryn Marie. I'm an artist, writer, speaker, life and a business coach, teach a variety of art and communication classes, published author when he had her available on Amazon. Going to work here on some sewing stuff today. Trying to take it easy before I go in because it's going to be a late night. I can already feel it. I have to be there at 4. Odds are I won't get home till midnight. Tomorrow, pretty much, I'll be useless. But I got to work in that backyard because right now life looks like a freaking jungle. But be happy, be blessed, be thankful for everything. Remember, fate turns on a dime, and it is up to you to decide what side of the coin you want to be on. Look at your person. Look at the one individual that you are involved with. And what is it that you would love to see for their life, just so they can come alive, so they can be more content with who they are and what they have in front of them. Decipher what is the need and what is the want. You're not supposed to be a taker. You don't take advantage of people. You don't use people. You love them and you want them unconditionally. But y'all take care. And I'll see you real soon. Fingers crossed on my other endeavor because I'm going to keep going and going until something finally works out. But take care. See you soon.